approaching the summit of Madison. There's a view down into Pinkham Notch, Washington from yesterday. It's only about 6 miles back at this point. And that's Adams, I think that's summit. Oh, just to the left of that, just to the right of that little pond is the hut, but it's behind these rocks. This is me summiting Mount Madison. Wow. Well, good morning. I'm on the summit of Mount Madison. It's about 0.5 from the hut where I stayed last night. Just a quick 45-minute scramble to cover the first half mile. I believe this may be the last 5,000 footer before Katahdin. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's the last one I could find for New Hampshire, and I don't think there's any more in Maine that are higher. There's a handful of 4,000 footers in the Bigelows and the last couple of summits of the presidentials. But I won't be this high again until the finish line. Anyway, I'm not sure what today holds. It's an incredibly strenuous, rocky descent down to Pinkham Notch, and it's over like 8 miles. I'm gonna sit here for a few minutes and absorb the views, and I'll check back in once I'm on trail again. It's so rocky, there's no discernible way to see the trail, and blazes will get covered up with snow, so the cairns are there to help navigate through the area in dense fog or other weather. Plus, it's real easy to see the trail off in the distance, as you can see there and across that ridge beyond. So this is the big horseshoe I've been hiking the last 2 days. Straight ahead is Mount Washington, and then I believe as you go to the right is Clay, Jefferson, Adams. The hut is down there in that dip between Adams and Madison, and here I am coming down the ridge on the backside of Madison. And there's a few other summits in there behind Adams that you can't really see. Not even sure if that's Adams. Yeah, Adams. There's several Adamses. The main one is Adams, and there's a John Quincy Adams and an Abigail Adams and an Adams 5, which I find is weird to name a summit after an imaginary 70s cop show. But it's been like this all day. So originally I was intended to hike this section 3 more miles down to a tent site below the tree line, about a mile past the tree line. But I'm glad I didn't try. I'm barely making 1 mile an hour right now, is how tricky I guess this section is. So I would have made it like halfway between the hut and the campsite before dark hit, and then you don't want to be doing this in the dark. So I'm glad I stopped when I did. Well, I just snagged my toe on a rock and went face down fortunately into these little 3-foot high pines snapping branches as I went, but I ripped my shirt and wounded myself. Let's see, yeah, I took a little gouge out of my tattoo there. Why is that not focusing? And so that probably happened on one of these. There's a broken piece there, a broken piece there. Well, and just like that, I am below the tree line. I think I was below the tree line when I fell back there. Like, the tree line was like waist high at that point, and I fell right into it. But you know, much better to fall into those trees than to the rocks. If I'd have had that same trip, you know, 100 yards earlier, it would have been nothing but pointy rocks, so that's good. Yeah, so I'm exiting as we speak the Presidential Range Alpine Zone. I don't know where the Presidential Range officially ends. I was wondering, there's, you know, after Pinkham Notch, there's Wildcat Mountain and then Carter Dome. I was wondering if Carter Dome is part of the Presidentials. Hello.
Hello.
Still pretty rocky, but an ample percentage of dirt and pine needles between the rocks, which is very pleasant. Well, I've arrived at the Osgood tent site. That's 2.5 miles from the summit of Madison, and it took me 2 hours and 25 minutes to get here, so it's 1 mile per hour. I was averaging 0.8 miles per hour on the rocky part above the tree line, and a little bit smoother and quicker below the tree line because you didn't have to spend as much like mental effort choosing your route and accounting for wobbly rocks and stuff. It was more of just a rocky bobsled chute, very steep and still very technical, but not quite as daunting as the 0.8 miles per hour section. Your wound update. I guess I should clean this thing. There's a significant tear on my favorite shirt. I don't know if I'll sew it back up or just switch to one of my other shirts as my go-to shirt. And it's just non-stop stream crossings since lunch, and they're quite lovely. We are entering civilization. Signs, smell of food, smell of porta potties or something. So leaving the Pinkham Notch Visitor Center, headed back into the woods. The guy at the counter at the trail desk, the visitor center, clued me into a campsite that's a little bit off the AT. I don't know where the trail, where or how the trail crosses this highway. So it's about half mile off the AT, so I'm gonna see if I can find it. So I'm supposed to go down the Square Ledge Trail, which is off the AT. The other tricky thing is the AT is never labeled as the AT around here. You have to like know where it is on a map and look for the name of the trail based on local signs and names. And sometimes it'll say AT on the sign, but sometimes it won't. Well, here's my camp set up in the middle of the woods. It's one of those stealthier spots I've done. Close enough to the road you can hear the motorcycles roaring through the notch. And also over in this direction, which I can't see but can hear, there's two ladies doing some rock climbing here in the last hour before sunset. It's gotten rather dark. It's only 7 o'clock, which is 45 minutes before sunset or thereabouts, 40. But it's gotten really dark, because we're in the woods, pretty deep in the woods. But also I think it's getting darkly overcast because it's gonna rain a little bit later. So hopefully this video's not too like contrasty or anything. But yeah, I'm just on what I think is a cross-country skiing route through the woods at the base of a rock climbing cliff on a side trail about a half mile off the AT in Pinkham Notch. So I probably won't see any hikers again until I'm underway tomorrow. But I'm gonna go cook some dinner, and we will settle in for the night.